Hello, beautiful souls. It's Sunday night at 6 o'clock p.m. on the West Coast. It's Servette Hassan. The name of the show is Intuitive Inc., and I've got a really great show for you tonight. The name of my guest tonight is Kimberley Heart. Okay, did we get that right? Kimberley Heart. And she has a great book out called Get Love. So Kimberley Heart has heart, and she's got a book called Get Love. She's done many more things besides that, though. She's a change agent and a love expert, and besides, the two go together, and they go together very well, and we're going to explain that to you as we go. But she's also been the go-to person on crisis intervention with major news networks. She's launched cutting-edge mentoring and leadership businesses, and she's been an advisor for executives of major Fortune 500 companies such as Hewlett-Packard. So she's done a lot, but along the way, believe it or not, the thing that she learned the most about was love, and who couldn't use more of that? So welcome, Kimberley Heart. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be here.
Oh, thank you. We had a little glitch. We had a little technical difficulty, and it threw me off a tiny bit, but we're back and we're good. So, and you can hear me. Can you hear me fine? I hope.
Oh, absolutely. We're great.
Okay, good. All right, here we go. So now, after chasing tornadoes and hurricanes, and how you became a person on crisis intervention, with news networks, which is fascinating to me. How did that evolve into you getting into this business of love?
Well, I had at one point in my career, I made my living by running women's retreats and couples retreats. That's all I did. And every weekend, every other weekend, a bunch of people would meet, and we'd work for 2.5 days, and my first book came out when fairy tale romances break real hearts. And I was all excited. I was going to be famous, and I was going to be on radio and television shows, and I was going on the lecture circuit. Mm-hmm. And Hurricane Andrew hit Florida, and I had closed my private practice so I could go on the book signing circuit.
Right.
And so my schedule was free. And I looked at those people, and I thought, oh my gosh, I want to go help. So I called the Red Cross, and I said, listen, I have these multiple degrees, mm-hmm. which include psychology, psychiatry, sociology, medicine. You know, I could do something, and mm-hmm. they refused my help because I hadn't taken introductory Red Cross, which frustrated me. So I picked up the phone and I called some people I knew, and they found me a place to stay because if people remember, there was nothing left. For miles and miles and miles, southern Florida was leveled. Mm-hmm. And long story short, when I got down there, it became very clear to me that you couldn't help hundreds of thousands of people who were in distress one person at a time. You had to do something new. So I had already had a talk radio show in Los Angeles. So I was an experienced talk show host, and I thought, what if we would go on the air at night mm-hmm. when people were afraid and in their tent cities or sitting on their porch so no one would loot their homes? What if at night we put on a radio show and talk to them about what they might be experiencing emotionally? What if we would talk to them about where they could find help the next day, mm-hmm. where the water would be, where the food would be? What if we would do that? So long story short, I talked the radio station into giving time. Mm-hmm. So every night we talked for 2 hours. And that, I thought I would donate about a month of time. We closed the show down a year later.
Oh my!
And that was the first attempt America had ever made to serve people in crisis who deserve our help, because the radio airwaves belong to the American people.
Right.
Radio shows just rent it from us. They belong to us. So when we're in strife, we should be able to have access to that. And it was called Heartline Crisis Intervention Radio. Mm-hmm. And we talked about all sorts of different things depending upon the timing of emotional healing, and it was different for every member of the family. So that's how it all started.
Wow. Well, so it's your psychology background that just sort of pushed you in that direction anyway, because you know how to help people, right?
Right. I knew how to help people, but I was ignorant when it came to that level of post-trauma. And the medical college, or the medical school of Miami took me under their wing, and they had one of the most famous post-traumatic stress specialists in the world working there. So they took me under their wing, and they trained me, and what I learned that day, I would go and teach on the radio that night.
Wow. Well, good for you. Good for you. And that's helping people, and that's what you were doing. So that kind of became a new career all of a sudden. I don't think there are any accidents in life. I think everything we do leads to something. That's why I don't look at anything as good or bad. Everything takes us in the direction we need to go, Don't you think?
If we use that opportunity, not everyone are as brave as you, and use the opportunity to, as the trite saying goes, but it's so true, makes lemonade. Some people let it take them down. So it takes people like you and I who have used the disadvantages in our lives in a way that uplifted us, but we all had help. So we need to move that help on, pass it on.
Wow, that's tough though too, crisis intervention. I mean, helping people. I just saw the news the other day about these 13 children who were treated like worse than dogs. I mean, chained up, and I'm sure everybody's heard about that by now. But they had a psychologist on CNN or some MSNBC, something news show I was watching, and they had a psychologist on talking about what those children must be going through now. That post-traumatic stress is going to be. It's really hard to deal with people in crisis because it's a cycle. I mean, you're not yourself, and you have to help people find a part of themselves again, no matter what you go through. It could be a hurricane. It could be trauma like that. It could be sexual abuse. It could be a million things, but helping someone find themselves again, which I think is key to love, because you have to help them love themselves again. It's not the easiest
thing. And isn't
thing.
that the underlying effort for all of us?
Yes.
In any level of success, in any level of turning our life around, it all stems from loving yourself. My problem with people who say, well, love yourself, is they don't give it any definitive how-tos. Love yourself. Oh, well, that's really cute. If we knew how to do it, we would do it already. And self-love needs to be broken into components so that we can do it. So it can become first a skill set and then a product of who we really are.
Right.
It is the most important journey we will ever make in this life is to learn to love ourselves.
Exactly. And I think that's key to everything. It's the key to our financial success, our career, our relationships. Everything stems from what we think and how we feel about ourselves, I believe.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're not
totally
talking
agree.
about narcissistic love. We're talking about that true love that comes from knowing who you really are.
Right, so let's just take a moment to describe narcissistic love so we can just take that off the table.
Go, yes.
People who are are narcissists are people who are so without themselves. And we all know someone like that. They are so without themselves that everything must be about them or they don't feel like they'll survive. So think about that. A narcissist is not really, truly, if you dig down into the dirt and find the answers, about someone who thinks the most of themselves. They think nothing of themselves, but they will fight tooth and nail against that because they are in survival. If everything isn't about me, I will not survive.
Yes. That's interesting. Yeah, that's a really good point, because it's not all about it's not all about them getting the love. It's all about them getting the approval of what they need to be fed to feel important. Because most narcissists are insecure, right?
Well, they're totally without any essence of themselves. Mm-hmm. That's why the myth is that Narcissus was so beautiful that the gods put his flower next to the water so he could stare at himself all day long. Right. Reconfirming that he existed. It's not just, it's so important people understand this. It's not just that they're important, but that's what they insist everyone does. But if they're going to heal themselves, it's about recognizing they're afraid they won't even exist if they aren't the most important person, yes, the one who gets all the attention, mm-hmm, and the list goes on.
Good point. Well, how does one avoid a narcissist? Or what happens if you're in a relationship with a narcissist? What if he's running our country? What do you do? Sorry. I'm sorry. Forget that. Forget that last part. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I can answer that question. Let's take the easy one. Okay. If you're in a relationship with a narcissist, run. Mm-hmm. I'm serious. Run the other way.
That's what I say too. I was like, fast.
If you will not run the other way, then you need to ask yourself the question, mm-hmm, why do I want to spend my gift of life taking care of someone who I will never be enough for? Mm-hmm. No matter how much you feed a narcissist until they start healing, mm-hmm, you will never give enough, be enough, mm-hmm, never, ever. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So right. Here's the deal. If you are in a relationship with a narcissist, they love themselves not at all, so they want you to love them completely to fill the hole that you can't fill. So you always will be the one who is failing. You will always be the one who they tell you is falling short. So mm-hmm, when I say run the other way, I literally mean that.
No, I do too, because you'll never be good enough, and
no,
unless they're getting help, and even then they've got to get help for a while. It's something that's not an easy fix.
They need to get help from someone smart enough to know what they're seeing, and that's not everybody.
Professional help is what I'm. Yeah.
Yes, and I will say that there are many professionals who are not equipped to deal with a narcissist. They're slippery folks. Mm. And I'm not saying that as, but I am good enough. I don't have a private practice anymore, so I can say about my profession clearly that there are many who have no idea how to deal with a narcissist, because usually they are in your office because they have been told they will lose somebody if they don't get their tails into therapy. Not necessarily because they finally understand that they are terrified of life.
Good point. Right. Okay, well this is a good segue, because it is run, and if you don't run, what is it in your subconscious mind that is keeping you attracted to that? Because you talk about in your book, Get Love, which is and the subtitle is How to Transform Your Love Life. You really have to start with yourselves. And when we start with ourselves, it's our subconscious that's really guiding us more than anything else. Right?
Yes. Let me see if I can make more sense of that. When our love life is not working for us, the truth is, any part of our lives, it is probable, like very probable, mm-hmm, that we have a belief system that isn't working for us. Now, belief systems are formed usually before we're 7, and 3 things must happen simultaneously for a belief to be laid down, and that there's intense focus, intense emotion, and, that's how it works. So if you see your parents hurt themselves all the time, then it's very possible you have a belief that love hurts. Mm-hmm. If you see that your parents are cooperative and work in harmony, then you might believe marriage works. Mm. And our beliefs are laid down in our subconscious mind. And let me just give you an image that might work. Your subconscious mind has no opinion, no conscience, and absolutely no discernment. It cannot make choices. It is simply a computer that we have programmed with intense focus, intense emotion, and the choice. That's how our beliefs get laid down. Mm-hmm. And so when people say, oh, my subconscious mind did it, yeah, but you programmed it. When I was a child, I didn't know. That's right. That's true. But now you're an adult. So it's time to stop blaming the computer for choices that you make. And here's something very important. Your subconscious mind is a magnetic computer. So if you believe that love hurts, and you're in a relationship and you get out and you go, oh, I'm not going to choose that kind of man again. And so you choose a different kind of man, and everyone agrees that this one is different than the last one. And 6 months into the relationship, all of a sudden he's behaving like the last one did. Mm-hmm. And no matter what you do, you can't seem to get out of that pattern. Here's the news. You will never get out of that pattern until you change your belief, because your subconscious mind's job, this huge, massive computer, job is to make sure your beliefs are honored. So if you believe love hurts, it absolutely will every single time. Because the minute your subconscious mind notices you're in a great relationship and it goes, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm not following the rules, it'll create something, an incident, something that you will interpret as this person just hurt me, and once again love will hurt.
Right.
But the same thing is true if love heals. If you have a belief system that love heals, then every single time you're in any type of relationship, you will walk away more.
Right. Well, yeah, I describe that in my workshops as, you can't change your subconscious. It's like looking at a computer and saying you don't like what's on the screen. Stop that program from running. Well, you have to make it stop running. And put an effort into that. Otherwise, you're right. The last relationship will pick up where the last one left off. The next relationship will pick up where the last one left off. The names may change and the faces may change. You can even change cities, but it'll be a continuation. You can. I know people that do that. They run, well, I'll just move.
Sure they do.
And then
right.
Suddenly
Geographical changing.
It's the same thing, It's like, you have to change. If you want your world to change, you have to change. So
right. Nothing changes until you do. That's just a fact of life.
Right.
If you want your world to change, you need to change. And changing your beliefs is nowhere near as difficult as people want you to believe. And I want to go on record to say the people who go around and are touching your head and say your beliefs haven't changed. Come on. Yeah. No, they haven't. Yeah. No one can change your beliefs for you. You can change your beliefs. And it's 4 steps. My book outlines it in the second half. And it outlines step 1. What is it that you want to change? Step 2. Why don't you want to change it, and why have you held on it for so long? Step 3, forgive yourself for all the pain you've caused yourself and others. And step 4, access your subconscious mind and replace the old belief with the new belief. That's how you change your subconscious mind. You can literally, once you learn, it's like any skill. When you first learn to play tennis, it takes time. But once you learn how to swing the tennis racket, you don't think about it anymore.
That's right.
Once you learn how to change your beliefs, you can sit down at the kitchen table and in an hour's worth of time change your belief, which means change your life.
Right. That's right. Your 4 steps are correct. You've got to recognize it. You've got to acknowledge it, because saying it's not so doesn't make it go away or change. It's good to know what it is, and then then you're acknowledging that. So you recognize it, you acknowledge it, then you forgive it. And this is key. This is where a lot of people have a lot of problems, because forgiving themselves and what they've done and how their life has progressed, or their love life especially has progressed thus far, is hard. How do you help people forgive?
Well, you have to do the first 2 steps. The second step will tell you why you did it. And if you can understand why, if you can understand you were surviving, if you can understand that it was a child self, if you can understand it was a lost and scared adolescent part of you, if you can understand that was the only way you could figure out how to survive. Once you find out why you did it, you can forgive yourself. But to try to hop from this is wrong and I can forgive myself, generally speaking, won't work. We are too we are too disciplined towards ourselves to allow that. We really need to understand, why did I do that? What were you trying to avoid? What feeling were you trying to hang on to? Who were you trying to blame? What guarantee do you need from God? How much self-pity do you have and you really enjoy? How does this make you better than other people? And why do you so tenaciously cling to the past? Understanding that we call them the 7 payoff questions, which is why did we do it? We'll take a look at what the payoff is. And if you sit down and you talk to your best friend about it and you kick it around and you write about it and you think about it and you go for walks and you will know, oh, that's why. Oh, well, of course, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Then you can forgive that.
Oh, yeah.
The meditation I like to use for that, I'll just share one piece of it, and that is where you walk down this corridor in a falling apart prison, and there you are sitting in the corner of the prison. Door's not locked, but you won't come out of the prison. So you, the healthy, you have to go get this one who's in the prison who won't come out because she's not forgivable, because she made mistakes, because she hurt other people. Once you, the healthy you, understands why, you can go get her out of prison and forgive her and hold her and heal her. Take her out into the sunshine. She doesn't have to be in prison anymore.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, it's true. And a lot of people spend a lot of time in that prison, and then they think the answer might be to redecorate it and put drapes up and things like that, curtains.
I love that.
And wallpaper and, maybe new carpet. But no, just get out. Leave.
Yes.
No, it's true.
Yes.
Yeah, it's true. I love that. I love that analogy, and it's key. And then you can change. You can reprogram that belief, because now it's not, it's viable. It's real. And that's when you can really change the programming without thinking you're changing it when you're not.
Exactly, because forgiveness is transcendent. Once you really forgive, you have transcended yourself, and in that moment, you can go and lay down a new belief.
Right. There's a line in your book. You said this. You said it's not what you know about love, but what you're programmed into your subconscious mind about love. So it's true.
Because you and I know better, but we still do the stuff we shouldn't do, but we know better.
Yeah, don't we?
Yeah, your girlfriend looks at you and goes, what are you doing? And you go, I don't know.
I know. You
know better.
I know. See, and that's the subconscious mind. And this is the book. I love the book for one reason. It's called Get Love, but because it's not just about transforming your love life, which it will do, but it will transform you in the process, whether you know it or not, because when you create growth, that's how to change. It's not, I think you said this in the book too. It's growth prepares you to change. It's not the change. Isn't that what you said?
Oh, exactly.
So. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that's true. So this book works for everything. I mean, beyond.
You and I know people. Yeah, you and I know people who have been to seminar after seminar, and they read all the books, and they know all the stuff, and they're still the same. They've never changed.
Oh God,
growth is not a reward. I mean, change is not a reward for growth. It's not.
Right, say that. Wait, say that again. Wait, say that again.
It happens in the moment.
Wait, say that again.
Yes.
Change is not.
I said.
Yeah, go ahead.
Change is not a reward for growth or time spent. Oh, I've been doing this for 30 years.
Right.
So doesn't mean you're different.
Got it.
Doesn't mean you're different.
True.
Change happens in a moment. And the change process, which is notice what you want to change, acknowledge why you've held on to it. There is real reasons. It's not because you're bad. There are real reasons. Forgive yourself and change. Those 4 steps are what are the pathways. And And if you are willing, that's the toehold the universe needs in order to help you. You have to at least stick a toe in the door. Mm-hmm. If you're willing to do that, all the help will be there for you, known or unknown to you. But you have to be willing to change. And that willingness is terrifying to most of us because the pain we're in, we know. And it's why people resist change, because that moves us into the unknown. We don't know what will happen, and that moves us into crisis. So get this. Mm-hmm. It's why people who win the lottery end up, many, many of them, in fact, most, end up worse off than they were before. Why? Because they don't know how to change their image, they don't know how to change their identity, and they don't know how to change their beliefs. And if you don't change those, when something major happens in your life, even if it's wonderful, mm-hmm. you'll end up worse than you were.
Oh, yeah, that's
and
true.
And people hate changing. We just hate it.
Well,
we'd rather be uncomfortable.
It's like 80% of people that win the lottery have lost all the money within the first 5 years or something. It's really astronomical, and that's why. It's true, because they can't.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I've always thought that a really wonderful gift to the world would be to serve those people and spend a considerable amount of mentoring time helping them into their new roles so they can take their money and help their family, and for those who make big money to help the world, mm-hmm. but no one helps them. And the sharks come out. Mm-hmm. And everyone puts their hand out. So someone needs to set up a business that is reputable, that the fee is X amount, it doesn't go up and it doesn't go down, but this is what we're going to do. We're going to prepare you to be rich. And most of us have no clue how to do that. And it breaks my heart because not only do they lose all their money, their dreams are shattered. And it's like, if I can't even make it with all this money, what's wrong with me?
Right. And no one's going to be able to teach them in their world how to change their identity, or they wouldn't be in that world. So it's like, it's like those young kids who become stars overnight. Mm-hmm. How is it that 5 years later they're dead in a hotel room? Right.
Or, because no one prepares them. Great success, especially if it's instant, mm-hmm. needs to be followed with shifting image, shifting identity, and changing beliefs. Has to be, or you will not make it.
Right. Well, there's your new business. Kimberly. You're a change agent. I'm telling you, that's good. Can I ask you one question before I open the lines up for callers? Was there something in your own personal life that prompted you to write Get Love? Was it a personal?
Sure.
Okay.
Of course. Mm-hmm. I come from a very abusive home, and I spent most of my life healing that abuse, helping others heal theirs, and figuring out what love really is and what it's not. It's just as important to know what love is not as to know what it is. Right. And Get Love is my second book on relationships. And this one, you get to explore my life. I share the love letters my lover and I sent back and forth. And you can really, through reading them, watch two people, like a movie screen, try to figure out what love is and what love is not between us. Mm-hmm. And through the whole book, I teach and say, see how I fell on my face here, and this is where I did pretty good there. So it's not just a book on facts. It's a mm-hmm. book on, let me show you how it works and how it doesn't work. And I'm going to use my own life as an example because I can't use my client's life. That's not appropriate.
Right. Well, it's hard as a writer to take a subject that's because all of part one are love letters between the two, like yes. you said. That's really hard to do, even as a writer, to be that vulnerable and open. So I had to ask what prompted that. And that's what
integrity prompted that.
Wow, that's nice.
There's no better service I can be to this planet than to help people find love in every area. Love in the workplace, and I mean in appropriate fashion. I mean being passionate and pay attention to the details and to really do something in a career that you love. So I'm talking about appropriate love in the workplace.
Right.
And love for family, love for country, love for self. What better journey could I have chosen as a life journey than to learn about love and share what I learned?
No, bravo. I love it. That's true. I love it. I do. But you know what? It is all about love. And if we don't get it together even on this planet pretty soon, it's going to be disastrous if we don't get that. We need love. We are one. We are all one. We are all one world.
Yes.
We're not just one country, but we're one world. We're one people. We're all humans. And that's key to our existence, I think, not just our happiness.
Thank you for saying that. That's so true.
Yeah.
E pluribus unum, from many one.
Right.
It's on all of our coins, all of our dollars. Our ancestors were magicians. We call them masons. They knew magic, and magic is things that are more than you can expect. They knew how they wanted it to work. And they hoped that the people who came after would help hone it and grow it, and we've not done a really good job.
No. I do believe that, and that's why I've considered myself, because I'm an American citizen, a British citizen, a Canadian citizen, and Pakistani because I was born there, but I think of myself as a citizen of the world. Because it's one world. Right. It's not just you and me, and you're over there and I'm over here. We're people. We're all one. Yes. You're right. We need to have more of that, because if we don't, we can't survive. I don't think. We have to find, and I do think we're moving in that direction. More and more people are raising consciousness, and we are finding that more people are talking about it. There's more people like you out there doing some work that's real like that. And we just need more of it and bigger, better voices, which is happening, I hope. Right?
I know it's happening, but it's happening in small communities. We can no longer depend upon major government to help us. So everyone, stop waiting. It ain't going to happen. Instead, in your local communities, in your places of work, in your places of worship, in your places of spirituality, co-create with others whatever issues are in your immediate environment. Be the champion of your immediate environment. For some of you, you'll want to reach out nationally and internationally. But for most of us, we want to help something in our neighborhood. If someone had just picked up the phone and said, there's something strange going on in that house, 13 kids, some as old as 28 years old, wouldn't have been tortured for all their lives.
Right.
No one picked up the phone.
Right.
Think about that.
Right. That 20-year-old was 82 pounds when they took her out of that house. Unbelievable to me. And you're right, though, because you know what? That's how the Women's March started. It started last year with just a group of women who thought they could do something small. And look what happened. It was just going to be between them and a little march, and let's do it, ladies. And look what happened. So you don't know. Yeah.
Women are magical in that we, from the time we are old enough to talk, get together and have tea parties or wrestle in the mud or do whatever. But we don't fight each other until people teach us to. We collaborate. Some of the best negotiators on the planet, and Harvard's negotiation class teaches us, are women, because we instinctively learn how to negotiate rather than to punch each other in the face.
Right.
So, for instance, I was at the march last year in New York. There were hundreds of thousands of us and not one incident of anything.
Right.
Why is that? And I haven't read, perhaps there were, but I have not read any incidents any place on the planet for the march yesterday. How is it that women pull that off? Well, is it because we're perfect? Oh, Lord, no. But we get a kick out of negotiating and co-creating and you do this and I'll do that. Okay. We like that. And again, please don't hear I think we're perfect. We're not. but we are instinctually much better at co-creating. And it's one of the things we can help men do better, because let's not make men the bad guys here.
Right.
Let's all co-create.
No, right. I love men, but it's true. Women are instinctually, because we're mothers and nurturers, and we can multitask, and most men can't. There are things we know how to do just because we're women, and we don't get enough credit for that. Now, hopefully, we will, but. It's true. There wasn't, not that I know of, there wasn't one incident in the whole world when the Women's March happened last year. When they were marching.
Not that I ever heard about.
Mm-mm.
Think about the phenomenon of that. The phenomenon of that.
I know.
It's nice to feel proud of being a woman. And it's nice to be proud of the feminine. Both men and women have equal access to feminine power. Feminine power is your ability to imagine, your ability to feel, your ability to perceive, and your ability to create. All humankind have access to those basic feminine qualities. And when we use them as a whole, the planet does better. And here's what I predict. Not only are we going to make it, we're going to change the foundation of the world, because the old foundations are crumbling, and they were based on things we no longer want to base the world on. And so one of the things I'm doing, spending my time with these days, is melding the millennials and the boomers, because there is no problem in this world that if those two generations, which I call the anchor generation is a combination of the millennials and the boomers. 78 million millennials, 76 or so million boomers, as they come together as one, the anchor generation, they will form a foundation upon which the new world can stand.
Oh, I believe it. I do. Truly. Yes, and the sooner the better, Yes,
of course. Yes, absolutely. The sooner the better.
The sooner the better, right? I am almost out of time here. I'm like, it's like we've got 10 minutes left, and I didn't even open the lines yet. So if anybody has a question for Kimberley Heart, it's 949-313-8880, and a question about love or change, because she's an expert at both, and she's studied both forever. And so just questions about relationships or where you're at, or love in the workplace, or any kind of question in that area, 949-313-8880. But I'm fascinated, because I have like 900 more questions, and we're not going to get to them all. But it's already been a really great show. Kimberley, how can people find you if they want to? Do you do one-on-one sessions with people anymore, or?
Not generally speaking. I do for my executives. I will, if they ask, I will help with their family matters. I do masterminds with women, and I will on occasion run an intervention if a couple really wants to make it and they know they're not. If they want to find me, they can. It's just really easy. K@KimberleyHeart.com. And if they just put Get Love in Google, they can find me that way too. GetLove.com is the website. So it's just real easy. That's why I named the book Get Love, because who doesn't want to get love, right?
But also your last name is Heart. Was that?
Yes.
I mean, that's pretty magical right there, Kimberley Heart. And
right, and it's spelled Heart, and my name comes from the German derivation. My family's German name was Fountain of the Heart, and I took the heart.
Oh, how nice. Well, and also it's Kimberley, Kimberley, just in case anyone's looking, and GetLove.com. And also, you have a couple of really good audios on there. I listened to one. I didn't quite get to the other one, but one's called How to End Your Loneliness, and the other one's True Love, Can You Find It? So
Right. Those are free. Those are my gift to the planet. I happen to think there's a pandemic of loneliness, particularly among the millennials. The millennials are one of the loneliest generations we've ever created. All this pseudo connection has left them without a lot of skills on connecting with other people in a very real way. And they are so lonely. We need to stop maligning an entire generation. We have maligned it to the point where they actually believe all the things we've said, which the studies from 2017 have shown that what we think about millennials is not true at all. In fact, I'm spending a lot of time teaching about that in businesses today. The fact that they are so self-centered and so arrogant, and they don't want to work hard, and they'll pop jobs, and all studies show, not any more than the boomers.
Wait, did they also feel entitled? That they also feel entitled is what I hear about people who are talking about
you hear about that all the time.
millennials.
Well, if you had parents who, when I was a kid, the rule was be home when the streetlights come on. Our parents had no idea where we were running around all day in the summer. They had no clue. Where you going out to play, with who, blah, blah. That was the end of it. I mean, come on. Your parents didn't track you every day. They didn't say, oh, let me take you to Jackie's house so that you can have a date. We took all sense of independence and freedom. We taught them that the world was a scary place, danger, stranger. We taught them that they were not capable of mapping their own lives. So now in the workforce, what we find out is millennials cannot career track themselves. If you want your millennial to stay in your workplace, then you need to help them you have to provide them and teach them how to create a career path, because they don't know how. We strip them of so much of what we had. And then I'm going to turn around immediately and say, they know so much more about electronics and creating something from nothing. They hate boredom. So if you have something you need to change in your house or your business that's boring, ask a millennial to do it. They will invent something because they hate being bored. Right. As I said, there is no problem in the world that the millennials and the boomers working together cannot solve.
Well, right, but together is the key, because they are lonely. They are, because my daughter's 28. I mean, she went to the University of Pennsylvania Law School. She's a lawyer. She passed the New York bar. She's brilliant, but she's, when it comes to relationships, that's hard, It's not that they don't know how. They didn't date. They traveled in packs. They still do. Depending upon what age you believe about the millennials, the oldest can be 40, and the youngest are just hitting 20. Now, come on. A 20-year-old is not a 30-year-old. It's not a 40-year-old. Oh, I thought millennials were anybody under 35 at this point.
Nope. There's a huge argument about which is which. And heck, I'll take whatever age span you want. What I want us to do is stop telling them how awful they are, because 46% of all millennials are clinically depressed.
46%?
Think about that.
Whoa.
Percent.
Whoa.
Yes.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
They have school debt. They have people telling them every place they go how terrible they are. And not just once. Any place they read about themselves, they read about what awful people they are. They're the first generation ever that has in print everywhere how terrible they are. Well, how are they supposed to feel good about themselves?
Wow. Yeah,
then they're in debt for school, or they're told not to go to school. It goes on.
You're right. I met a millennial the other day that was doing some, or maybe it was the cable, but whatever, anyway. And I said, oh, you're a millennial. And he said, yes, but I'm not a snowflake. Like, he was defending himself immediately. I didn't even know what a snowflake was. I had to ask, because I said, I don't want to be stupid. I want to know. I want to learn. I'm always learning. I'm always growing, especially spiritually. But I was like, what the heck was that? But, and that's a whole other story. So, but I mean, it was interesting. It was interesting. And you're right. And you know what? It comes back all around to where we started this conversation, which is with love. They've got to love themselves. They've got to find that love within themselves to attract that love outside of themselves too. And if you're starting with, I hate myself and I'm depressed, then who are you going to attract? Like attracts like,
Exactly, it does.
Mm-hmm.
So true.
Right.
And isn't that interesting that both the boomers and the millennials are moving into this world wondering if they're going to have any mattering or significance?
Right.
The boomers and the millennials are so alike.
Describe a boomer too, or define a boomer too.
A boomer is born between 46 and 64,
mm-hmm.
and boomers did not go to work. They were their work. And I'm talking about on the executive level, because lots of boomers had to have more than one job. A boomer is someone who, think about it, 60s and 70s, wanted to change the world, rebelled, marched, sat in,
mm-hmm.
went through Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
The boomers had to overcome a lot, but so did the millennials. The millennials have more debt than ever before. They're not, and the way those loans are rigged. I don't know if you've ever researched that, but those loans are rigged. You can't ever get out of debt. It synergistically
mm-hmm.
increases, and entire families are losing their homes and their welfare, and the government does nothing. It's one of my pet peeves because it's the government who holds those loans.
Right.
And so
they're federal loans,
and then they can't find high-paying jobs, and
right.
then they have to stay home with their parents.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a lot of fun. And so,
I know.
And one of the lies about millennials is that they are entrepreneurial. No, they want to be entrepreneurial.
Mm-hmm.
But the ones who are successful entrepreneurs have serial entrepreneurial companies, and so the statistics are skewed. They are, in fact, the boomers, which were much more entrepreneurial than the millennials, they just don't want to work in jobs that go nowhere. And who can blame them?
Right, exactly.
And it's all about choosing jobs you love, passions you love, and, of course, start out with who are you, and can you figure out how to love yourself? The boomers could never figure it out. Most of us as boomers don't love ourselves. The Xers couldn't figure out. Pardon me, and the millennials are searching for that. So we're all alike in that. We all need to figure that one out.
Right. Well, what do you do? I mean, look, I'm going to open up the lines one last time. If anybody has a question, now's the time. We're running out of time. 949-313-8880. I could talk to you all night, Kimberley Heart, but we'll have to have you back, especially as time goes by and things change. But what do you do? The one last question I had for you was, what do you do if you're in a relationship or in a job or anything else? Because really this kind of fades over into different areas of life in general anyway, not just love. What if it's not working? What do you do?
If
you're in a relationship, like let's say you're married and it's not working and something's wrong and it's wrong and this relationship is going downhill fast. What did you suggest? What do you suggest for people?
You remember, I just ran an intervention last weekend with a couple who believed that their love was absolutely rare. Mm-hmm. And they had to remember that so they could do the work on how it was beginning to disintegrate. And everyone needs to pay attention to two really important things. Love always pays attention to the details. So if you're not paying attention to the details of how your lover, by whatever title, wants to be loved, then you're not being very loving, are you? And if you haven't taught your lover how to love you, and I'm not talking about sex, I'm talking about how to love you in the day-to-day fashion,
right?
Then it's time to pay attention to the details. And the second thing I want to say, they can't give you what you don't already have inside. That's why it's so important you love yourself first, because they can't fill the holes in you. And when they find out they can't, they will be frustrated and angry. And when they fail you by not filling those holes in you, you will resent them because you're asking them to do something they cannot do.
Right. Right. That's true. And people do. People treat you the way you teach them to treat you. You know? And that's key too, because, and my feeling too is that when something's not going right, whether it be in a relationship or a job, the first place you really should go is within yourself too.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Because
and you shouldn't wait till you're so frustrated that you want to walk out the door.
Exactly.
Ows work. I teach my couples to say ow. When someone says something or does something that hurts you, if you can't say, whoa, that really hurt me, you can say ow, and that means everyone stops and goes, okay, what just happened? Rather than, it's too small to mention, or it's too big to handle, both extremes.
Right.
If you love yourself, you communicate. You communicate in a way your lover can hear you.
Right.
You must, if you are in a loving relationship, pay attention to the details.
Right. And then, and even with, finding love too, I think, I remember my mother saying to me 100 years ago, she said, when you're ready and you're in the right place in yourself, it doesn't matter if you never leave your room, it'll come. Do you know what I mean? It's like you won't even have to look for it. And I didn't realize how smart she was, and don't tell her I said that, but she was.
Absolutely. She's absolutely right.
But she's right.
When you are willing.
Yes.
See, there's the magic
Gotta
hole.
open
when
up.
you are really willing. Not just that you stay long and you're lonely. No. When you're willing to tempt intimacy, which is much more scary than love.
Right.
When you're willing to tempt intimacy, you will allow love.
Yes. And then it comes without any much effort on your part. This has been a great show. I could keep going and going, but we're at an end. And the 900 people that didn't call in and had a question and that will tomorrow, you can find Kimberly or me. You can email me, but you can, and I'll send you to her if that's the case. But it's K@KimberleyHeart.com. And the website is getlove.com, right? And
yes, thank you.
What was the first book you did? I only mentioned Get Love, How to Transform Your Love Life. What was the first one?
When Fairy Tale Romances Break Real Hearts.
Oh, how awesome is that? It's true, True.
Yes.
It's true. And once
Been
you
there,
get past
done that. Don't recommend it.
Yeah. I don't recommend it either. You've been so delightful, and what a great guest you've been. I really love you. So there.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor.
You're welcome, and thank you for doing this for me on a Sunday night, taking your time to join me on Intuitive Inc. Thank you so much, Kimberly Heart. Thanks. Good night.
You're welcome.
Good night. What a great show. She's awesome. And again, I'm going to say her website one more time, getlove.com. So if you need love, get love. There's two audios on there that are free, that are complimentary. And one of them is How to End Your Loneliness. And the other one is True Love. Can you find it? They are both gifts from her. I would certainly take advantage of those because they're worth it and they're good. I listened to one, but I'm sure the other one is too. She's just good at what she does. But and she is a good, I would say, great change agent and love expert. So, and her name again is Kimberly, and it's Kimberley Heart. Heart, just like your heart. And that's it. And my website is ServetHassan.com, ServetHassan.com. You can email me at servet@servethassan.com. And give me a chance because I get a lot of emails, so I don't always respond within the first day or two, but I always respond. So, and I always look at all of them myself personally. So I do get back to everybody. It's a lot. I get overwhelmed sometimes, and it takes me a bit when there's quite a few. Then on my website, ServetHassan.com, you can just email me from there as well. All my books are on there. The last one that won an International Book Award, Life in Transition, is on there. And private consultations and what I do. My specialty is more getting people unstuck from if you want the change but can't get there and can't understand why it's not happening for you, that's where I go, and I usually try to get you unblocked and unstuck and moving to the next level, because otherwise you just stay where you are. And a lot of that is what Kimberley Heart and I just talked about, which is fear of the unknown and fear of moving forward, and you'd rather be a little miserable than try and make the absolute change to go forward and be different. And that's hard. It's not as easy as people think, but once you get once you get what you need to propel you to that level, it works. And it's not as hard as you think. It's just that you need that kick in the butt, as I say, which I'll give you. And also my blog and podcasts and all of that are coming up, and I'm going to be doing some online courses as well. Things are changing, but the year just started, so give me a little time. Some new writings and all kinds of things are coming up in the near future. And I love to hear from all of you, so please email me if you have any questions or comments on the show itself. And what I want to say, we've been talking about love and self-love, and that goes back to what I say at the end of every show I do. Be you to the full, because that's what's really beautiful. That's what makes your life happen. Be yourself. Be your true self. Be you to the full. It's beautiful. I love you all, and I will see you next week. Take care. Bye.